Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Lindsay and this is my podcast, Knitwhim Podcast. Just want to say it's been a while. It's been almost 3-4 weeks since my last podcast. I'm really sorry about that. Between holidays and my schedule changing, it's been kind of crazy. I wasn't sure exactly when I was going to be able to record, but yay, I'm recording today. Hopefully I'll go back to recording on my normal schedule after today. Moving right on in, I'll just start with finished objects. I have one. It's been so long. Probably I should have more than just one finished object, but I have a finished object. It is the Shale shawl by Layla Robb, and here it is. I don't know if I should stand up to show you. I just got home from work, and I figured I might as well just do it now, the podcast. Otherwise, I might. Yesterday, I passed out and slept for 3 hours. So here it is. I'm messing with it. I knit this in Malabrigo sock, and I think it's the Python colorway. And it took me exactly 2 weeks to knit this, so I'm really proud of that. And this blocked out really, it's arm. The wings are arm's length now, but when before I blocked it, it was much smaller. It was beady. So I'm really happy. It's flowy and loose. And this pattern, I've already planning on making this pattern again. I really love this pattern, Shale. And I already have yarn picked out for my second one. It's hand spun. So yeah, works in progress. I've got 3 knitting works in progress and some other things. So the first one is the mystery cowl that I'm currently working on. So if you are participating in the Tentacle by Lily Go, don't look! Spoiler alert! I love Lily Go's patterns, and it's so funny because my friend Amanda told me about this cowl, this knit-along, and I love mystery knit-alongs, and she told me about it, and I went into the group, and I joined it, and then I was like, you know what? This designer name sounds really familiar. Why is that? And I went to my queue. I have 4 of her other lace shawls in my queue. It's oh, that's why. That's why, because I love her stuff. So it's beaded, but only the first clue has beads on it. So, here it is. And the cast on has beads on it. I've never done a beaded cast on before, and that took forever. You're casting on, for the size and weight that I did, I cast on 180 stitches, and you put a bead on every stitch. So, and when you talk about this, it's called the Tentacle, and I'm trying to figure out why. My first theory was that this shape here was supposed to be how the tentacles on octopus have this flat wedge shape. So my first thought was maybe that was the flat wedge shape of a tentacle. And then my other thought was, well, maybe this little, and my gauge is so loose that I'm not really sure if you can see it, but there's these ridges that form up and meet at the center, so it creates this spade type shape. Maybe that's supposed to be the head of a squid or something. I don't know. But it's not done yet, so we'll see. Theory crafting about, oh, I hope I didn't just drop a bunch. No, I didn't. We're safe. So anyway, this is after the first 2 clues. So I'm really excited about that. So far, I've knit both clues the day they came out. So we'll see if I can keep that up. And and I'm knitting this. I should probably say this. I'm knitting this with the Fat Squirrel Fibers yarn. That I won this yarn in a spin-along. I won this doing the New to You spin-along from Malia. From the Yarn Raising podcast. I won this from her. Thank you, Malia. And this is the Acorn BFL nylon base. It's fingering weight. And I forget the colorway name. Midnight, maybe. Medallion blue. I remember. So that's that. My other one, my next work in progress, is so new that I don't even have a progress page for it yet because I've been kind of busy. I haven't been on the internet as much as I usually am. This is a baby blanket for a friend of mine. If you're watching, hi! This is, the pattern is Beth's Little Star Afghan, and the designer is Beth Parsons. And I'm crocheting it because I am addicted to crochet. And this is what I have so far. Can you see? It's hard when it's this small, it doesn't lay flat. This is my second star blanket, and it'll lay flat when it's done. But isn't it cute? I love star-shaped things. So I went to I have a little story to go with this. Sorry, I'm gonna be derailed. I went to Hobby Lobby to get this yarn, and I knew I wanted to do blue and white colors. And I'm gonna blame this mistake on one of my coworkers. When I started this blanket, I actually started with this color. And I had done all of this color, and then I had done the light blue around it. And it looked like those gross, like, stripy socks that you see in, like, children's books. They looked like baseball socks. It was ugly. And I'm like, why did I pick this color blue? It's so dark and, like, masculine and boring. And I honestly thought I had gotten a lighter color. And I blame my coworker because I was there picking out yarn, and I ran into him, his wife, and his 3 kids. They're adorable. And I just blame that mental blah on it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's not going in the baby blanket because that's ugly. But I'm really enjoying this. It's really easy so far. The beginning of it was difficult because it's a written pattern. It doesn't have like a chart or anything. And I'm new to crochet, and I did not understand the instructions for how to start this little thingamabobber. I had to do it like, I cast it on like 6 times, and it didn't make sense, and it didn't look right, and it was weird. Like you chain 7 and then join, but then the rest of them you only chain 3, so the first one seems bigger. There is a picture tutorial. There's a link to the picture tutorial on the Ravelry page, but as far as I know, there isn't a link to it on the blog page where the pattern is. So I went back and saw that, and the photo tutorial made everything better. And now I only glance at the pattern every now and then to make sure I haven't missed a step, because each row is the same except you just add 2 stitches to each row. So I love this, and it's a free pattern. Okay, my last knitting work in progress is a bit of a fail. I got the Seedling Dreams hat pattern by Amy Beth for my birthday from Cherry Coat Kisses, and I had expected to knit this for Nerd Wars, and various things happened, and it did not get knit for Nerd Wars. I don't really know exactly why, but it didn't. Here's a picture. Seedling Dreams. So I cast this on, and I'm going to frog it. It's going to be frogged. I've had so many problems with it. To start, the yarn I'm using I got during the Atlanta Shop Hop, and that was the event where there were 9 stores, and you had to go to each of them and buy something. And then for each store that you went to, you got entered into a drawing for their prizes, and then if you went to all of them, you got entered for the grand drawing. So I had a list of things that I wanted to buy, and on that list I had worsted weight yarn in brown and orange for this hat. And so when you go to the stores, and the stores, some of them don't have a huge variety, and so I was trying to find a very specific, this color, brown, and worsted weight, and I couldn't find it. And so finally I was at the store. They didn't like any of the yarn that they had, but they had this color worsted weight, and so I grabbed it. It's like, it's the color I want, it's worsted weight, everything else here sucks. Sorry, I'm not going to name which store it was. I bought it. What I really didn't consider at the time is that this is 75% alpaca. I hate alpaca with a burning. I mean, it's super soft and silky, but it's also got that like fuzzy halo, which can be pretty in some things, but it's a fuzzy halo that feels vaguely like you grabbed a bunch of dead dog hair, and it's just, ugh. I don't like it. And when you're knitting, like, I don't know if the camera really picks it up, but it's hairy. It's like my dog's I don't have a dog because I hate dog hair. It like, ugh, icks me out. But the whole hat like looks, knit up, it doesn't feel hairy, but you can definitely see close up that it's hairy. Now obviously it looks pretty when it's finished, and I'm going to enjoy wearing this hat. It's not so horrible that I can't wear it. It's really soft. It's going to be it's going to be the warmest hat I have. It's going to be great. But reminder, I hate, and this is a single ply, and it got tangled with my orange, and in the process of untangling, it didn't even snap. It just like fell apart. It's like, oh, I'm too tired to live anymore. And this orange, they're both Cascade, by the way. They're both different types of Cascade. And I love Cascade, just not alpaca. It's not Cascade's fault that I hate alpaca, and I knew that when I bought it. And this one is 50% alpaca, and the other is merino for both of them. And I don't know which is which. One is Lana de Oro, and the other is Highland Duo. I don't know which is which. But yeah, so from the beginning, I had problems with, which is the reason I haven't frogged it yet, because I got this far knitting yarn that I didn't really care for, and I was like, yes, I'm almost done. I'm getting ready to do the crown decreases, and then I noticed, can't squeeze it onto my head. It's too small. So I made 2 mistakes with this pattern, so that now I ruined my hair. Good, we can just blame it on the hat. 2 reasons. First of all, I suck at stranded knitting, so you have all these strands on the inside, and I always have trouble with keeping my tension proper. I'm knitting it on a circular needle that's smaller than the circumference of my head, so that if you're not careful, I'm knitting it so that it's tight around this circumference, which is actually not the circumference the hat is supposed to be. That's one problem. And the other problem is I cast on the medium size and not the large size, because I'm a small person, and usually I just cast on the smallest size project, and that works out fine. However, when I look at the pattern, the finished size for the medium is 18.5 inches. I assume that's a round. Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, my head is 21 inches, which is the large size. So even if nothing else had gone wrong, according to the pattern, I should never have cast on the medium size, and I was being a retard. So it's getting frogged. I love this pattern, though. It's super fun to do, especially the way you make this little shape. It's very entertaining. So I'm gonna be happy once I start knitting it again, but I think I'm gonna wait until I finish the Tentacle, because these are size 4s that I'm knitting with, but on the super small circular. And the Tentacle is on a bigger size 4 circular that I can do magic loop with. So I'll wait and do it with that, and then the magic loop will keep me honest with my stranding, because I'm afraid that I'll still mess it up with the stranding tension if I do it on this small needle. So those are my knitting works in progress that I have. I have 2 other works in progress. One of them barely isn't anything. This is, I'm going to scroll down here. This is my cross stitch project that I'm working on, and it's the Kawaii Winter Sampler from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'm so lazy I'm not even going to take it out of the hoop. I started it before Christmas, and when I started it, I had a bunch of free time, and I did 4 squares in like 2 days, and I'm still on square 5. I haven't even finished. I'm almost done. I just have to do the very last bit of the shoe and put some red in the shoe and the skates, and then it's done. But there's 25 squares, and I'm on square 5 still. I know. So I don't know when I'm going to do this, because honestly I'm enjoying, the Tentacle, the clues, I'm only knitting it when the clues come out, but this crochet blanket, man, it's so much fun. It's really the only 2 things I'm knitting on right now, because I'm not really going to work on the hat. But I've just been distracted. My other work in progress is spinning. I haven't spun since before the holidays. I didn't spin at all during Thanksgiving or Christmas. I know, right? So this is, I'm going to say it's 4 ounces. It can't possibly be 4 ounces. Not on one bobbin. This is some unknown number of ounces of merino. I assume it's merino. And I spun it super thin. It's not as consistent as some of my other, you can see, there's this band of thread-like yarn followed by much thicker, right there. It's not as consistent. This has a very interesting story to it. A long, long time ago, before actually kind of embarrassing. A long, long time ago, before I started spinning, I was going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. My sister asked me to get her a souvenir from Maryland Sheep and Wool because she couldn't go. And neither of us spun. We didn't have drop spindles. We didn't have wheels. I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool. This is what I got for her. I got her merino roving that neither of us could spin. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I don't even remember getting this. She came to visit me for Thanksgiving and she brought it with her. She's like, hey, remember this? I'm like, no, where'd you get that? You gave it to me. Ha ha. So I spun it. I'm hoping I'm going to chain ply it, even though it's so inconsistent that the thought of chain plying it makes me cringe, because I know that when you chain ply something, it magnifies all of the mistakes that you made. Like if you have inconsistent yarn, it'll be really obvious if you chain ply it. So I wish I had divided it in thirds so I could regular traditional ply it. But oh well, I'm going to chain ply it. And I have 8 ounces of this mixed BFL on my wheel right now that I'm spinning. And I'm just sort of doing some, I might do like a really relaxed 2-ply worsted bulky. I'm like, it's a comfort spin, and I just want to spin it, and it's so soft. Like BFL, I'm not a huge fan of BFL normally. Like it's not scratchy, but it's not like soft. It's just, there's nothing special about it, in my opinion. It's just an all-around acceptable wool for spinning, you know, and it's not exciting. It's like, what are we having for dinner? Spaghetti! Yay! That's, for me, that's what BFL is. Like, I don't have any real complaints except that it's BFL. This stuff is so soft. It's so soft and fluffy. It has all of the soft silkiness of alpaca without the icky hairiness part. So I'm really enjoying that. Actually, I just talked super fast and now I have nothing else to say about knitting or spinning. I apologize. It's been a while. I've forgotten how to do a podcast. Yeah, so just another brief thing. I was working a night shift for the past 3 months, 10 hours at a time at night. It sucked. I am now having a break from that. I'm back on a day schedule. I'm in a class for a month, so my schedule is really nice. I go to class at 8:30. I get out at 3:30, but I have 2 hours worth of homework. So I'm recording this before doing the homework because, pardon me, usually after I do the homework, I'm so depressed that I go straight to bed. So this is coming first. Anyway, so I feel a lot more active when I'm awake during the day, and even though technically it's still the same amount of work time, I just feel like I could do more stuff because it's daytime. And that's silly because when I was working the night shift, it was a 10-hour shift and I could knit like 7 hours of that straight without interruption. And now, like, I started class on Monday and I haven't even done a whole row on my blanket. So it's the false feeling of having a lot of time to do stuff, even though I'm actually doing less crafting. Anyway, it's still the first week of January, so I guess I can still do my New Year's podcast. By the way, Happy New Year! I hope everyone had a good holiday. I certainly did, and I really hope that everyone's previous year was good and that your next year is better. You know, that's always, like, we always want to do better. We're never content to just stay where we are. Do you have any New Year's resolutions? There's a commercial on right now with this cute little kid who says he has a New Year's revolution. I've started saying it. Do you have any New Year's resolutions, especially about crafting? Because I sure do. Last year, for 2013, my New Year's resolution was to knit lace shawls. Because it's my favorite thing to knit, and I hadn't really done a whole lot of it. And I hadn't really knit with nice yarn before. Like, my biggest lace shawl at the time was the Swallowtail, which I knit with Knit Picks palette, which is okay, but it's certainly not a luxury yarn. So I did a total of 5 shawls that were all started and finished within 2013. And then the one I showed you in the beginning, I didn't finish in time. I finished it in January. So the first one I did way back in the beginning of the year, I literally cast this on January 1st. was the Juneberry Triangle by Jared Flood. I'm gonna back up. And this was my Christmas present to myself. And last year I went home for the holidays. I didn't this year. Last year I went home to Maryland, and in DC there is one of the coolest knitting stores in the world, Fiberspace. I've probably shown this to you before, but I got this bag at Fiberspace. It's got this cute little cyber chick. And there was another one. I wanted to get both, but I didn't have the money for it. There's another one where it's a planet that's made out of yarn, and then a little spaceship is flying around it. I almost got that one too. So I went there, and my treat to myself was I bought the Shelter yarn to knit this in, which is Brooklyn Tweeds yarn. And I love it. You can see my Juneberry Triangle. I love this shawl. And it was extremely fun to do, and I already have plans to knit another one, but probably not for a while. Because when I knit another one of these shawls, it's probably going to be something like super cushy. Because Shelter, I love because it's warm and it has really, really awesome stitch definition, but it's very rustic. So it's not itchy. Like if you knit something out of Wool of the Andes or Lion Brand wool or Patton's wool, that if you try to wear it against your skin, like on your shoulder area, that to me is itchy. Like I can wear it as gloves or as a hat, but if I wear Patton's on my shoulders, I start to get a rash. Ask me how I know. I'll tell you later. But this, I have never gotten a rash from wearing this. I wear like the noodle strap dresses, and I wrap this around me, and so it doesn't bother me, but it's not soft. Like it has like a rough, coarse texture, sort of like a burlap sack. You know what I mean? But I love it. The next time I knit this, though, I do want to knit it in something like Polworth would be awesome, like hand spun Polworth. Oh my god, Polworth! Sorry, that's like maybe by then I will have discovered something better than Polworth, but right now Polworth is my favorite wool ever to spin. So anyway, that was my first shawl. Then, way back, before I got married, Fat Squirrel did a gratitude knit along, and you could knit anything you wanted, but you had to be meditating about how grateful you were for things while you were knitting it. You had to knit with, what did she say? Mindfully or something? I don't know. It was sort of like a meditation, be grateful for what you have, and most of what my gratefulness was, oh my god, I am so glad I can afford to buy Madeline Tosh lace, which is what I knit this in, because it is super soft and amazing. And this is the Bramble Shawl, and I have show notes, but I didn't write the names of the designers for any of these shawls, but the show notes will be on my blog again, and there's links to all of the stuff if you were interested. So this was my second shawl of the year, and I knit it all during my wedding preparations, and the day of my wedding I was still knitting it. I knit it. I have a photo of me knitting it in my wedding dress. So this has fond memories already. So it's definitely a favorite. And it's really thin and light, but it's really warm. It's perfect for if it's summer and it's warm enough outside to wear a noodle strap dress without being cold, but you go into a restaurant and then the air conditioning is blasting. That's what this is perfect for, because it's not going to be warm enough if it's fall and you're trying to get away with wearing something light. It's not going to be warm enough to keep you warm unless you're wearing it as a scarf. Sometimes I do wear it just wrapped around my neck as a scarf. It's warm enough as a scarf, but not as a shoulder thing. But if it's summer and it's too warm to wear outside, it's perfect for air conditioning. I get cold in air conditioning. Okay. The next one I did was the Crooked Cathedral, and this was yarn that was given to me as a wedding present, and I took it with me to San Diego and knit it on my honeymoon. And I have this, my favorite part about this shawl is these white beads at the bottom, which I love. And the really cool thing about this, which I think was an accident, was that this is the exact same color that my shoes were that I wore to my wedding. So I really like it. And this is super small. This is not really big enough, and that's mostly because I knit it at too tight a gauge. It's not really big enough to do much in the warmth department, but it's pretty, and I usually wear it as a scarf. And I wear this all the time as a scarf. I don't remember off the top of my head. The name of the yarn is something that I can't pronounce easily. The next one I did was I participated in the Los Lirios Mystery Cow. And one of my goals for the new year, my New Year's resolution, not just to knit a bunch of shawls, but to knit in a bunch of different types of yarn. So I did worsted weight, sock weight, actual lace weight, and then one of my other things was silk. So this is 50% silk. I haven't actually worn this because by the time I finished it, it was too cold for lace weight shawls. But it's really soft and, well, soft is such an obscure word. It's very smooth and light. And for me, like, it's soft, but for me, when I say soft, I really mean, like, it has to be both soft and cushy. Like, I really like the round, plump yarns. That is soft to me. This is soft too, but it's silky smooth. And then my last one, you already saw, my last shawl, is the damask shawl, which I just finished the last podcast. I think I showed this to you. So I'm just going to flash it real quick. Woo, this thing is huge. I'm not going to get up. You've seen this. But this thing was huge. And I knit it in a DK weight Broco Vintage. So it's a merino acrylic blend. And it's, oh my God, it's huge. I hated knitting it, but now I'm like, oh, I should do it again. In all the colors. So yeah, so that was, I'm not going to show you any of the other projects I knit over the year, just my New Year's resolution was to knit shawls, and I did. I knit 5 shawls. But I did a total of 20 projects last year. 2 of them got frogged, and 3 of them were crochet. I started like seriously crocheting this past year. And 4 projects not counted in the 20 rolled over into the new year, continuing to be works in progress. And that includes a work in progress that I started in 2012. My end paper mitts, which are still half done. I still have it. I originally cast on for the second mitt, but I cast on incorrectly, and I still haven't gone back and recast on. So my goal for this year is to knit sweaters. I'll be happy if I knit one sweater that fits me and I can wear if it's not itchy. Because I've knit 3 sweaters. One of them was a horrible disaster and was too big and I frogged. 2 of them worked out fine and they fit me, but they're itchy. One was knit in Wool of the Andes, which I cannot wear on my bare skin, I get a rash. And the other is knit in Patton's wool, and I can wear it for about 20 minutes and then I just start to get like uncomfortable all over it. It's horrible. And I knit a 3/4 length sleeve, so I can't even like wear something under it because I don't have anything with sleeves the right length. And if I don't protect my arms, it's horrible. So if I just make one sweater that fits me and I can wear without my skin crawling, that'd be awesome. My goal is to knit 3. I want to knit one for myself and one for my husband. And I would like to knit both a full split pullover and some kind of cardigan. And I have so many cardigan patterns on my queue that I don't even know which one I'll do because I want to do so many. Those are my New Year's resolutions for this year. And I'm going to be knitting a lot of small things because I still have a lot of yarn from the Atlanta shop hop, but I'm not going to be buying a whole lot of new yarn for small things. I really only plan on buying a little bit more lace weight because necessary for a living, and the sweater yarn this year. And then most of my fiber budget is going to spinning, and I still want to start sewing clothes. I haven't done that yet, but that's a goal. And I'm getting 2 things of fiber this month. I'm going to get more Gail's art because I need more pull worth in a bad way. And I'm participating in the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary Sal again for, it runs from January until March, I believe. And so, I don't remember the name of the dyer right now, but I will mention it on the blog. And she's in the process of dyeing the fiber right now. So the moment the fiber hits Etsy, I will be getting it to spin. And I think the color theme for this iteration of the spin along is like a rust orange color, maybe. The theme is something old, so I can't actually remember which picture won the vote, but it's going to be pretty. So yeah, once again, I would like to thank everyone for viewing. Old viewers, thank you for sticking with me. I know it's hard to keep focusing on a podcaster who doesn't podcast regularly, but I mean to, and I will, now that the holidays are over. I will podcast at predictable intervals. And for the new people, thank you for trying me out. I really hope you come back, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Goodbye.